So maybe you're in GCSE or A level and it's starting to get real because the exams are coming up soon. These are my tips for dealing with the anxiety and stress, both for preparing for those exams and the actual exams themselves. Okay, well, we really understand as teachers, we really know that the end of year 11, the end of year 13 are big pressure points for you. So do talk to your teachers is one of my first and most important bits of advice. Often just by sharing and getting out there, you can really make yourself feel better about that anxiety that you get. And we all have it. We've had our first child this year, and I'll be absolutely honest with you, I was quite anxious leading up to that because I really felt that, I don't know, I really had convinced myself that something was going to go wrong in the birth, and it turns out, well, we were okay and we're a really happy family now. But keeping calm during study then. Well, remember this, revision always pays off. And whatever it is, actually revision is always useful. So if you're making the time to do it, you just think, right, this is time that I'm putting into my bank. Okay, this is going to work. The more I do of this, the more it is going to work. I've never met a student that revision did not pay off for. Okay, that's worked hard and then they've ended up being really disappointed with their grade. It just doesn't happen really. Okay, remember this, revision always pays off. And when you feel like you're getting stressed out during the revision, then just take your time and have yourself a cup of tea. Doing the revision will work. It might not feel like it's working straight away. It might take a little bit of time for you to really get comfortable with the material, but the revision definitely pays off. Loads and loads of tips about preparing for GCSE and A-level physics in a playlist, which I'll put something to around here. Keep up with your hobbies. Don't skip football practice. Get out there whatever the weather. Don't worry about it. Even if you've got an exam the next day, that might be just a thing to relax you, to give you that good night's sleep, to get you ready for that exam. Remember that studying is something that you can control, and that's really, I think, for me, when I get anxious about things, it's things I can't control. But studying is something that you always can. So you can always do a little bit more study. You can always change up the way that you're working, and you can always think a little bit deeper, and you can always work a little bit harder on your study. Don't make that all that you do ever, because you need time to relax and depressurize as well. But study works. So if you're anxious about those exams, get studying. Go steady. You can't work every hour every day. I suggest just do 2 hours every single weekday evening, and don't work at the weekends. Have the weekends off. Don't spend time planning to do it. Get on with it and do it. Do the tasks that your teachers recommend. They are going to be carefully selected revision tasks that are appropriate for you. Do the tasks that your teachers are telling you to do. Stay on top of your deadlines. You don't need homework deadlines, detentions, things like that stressing you out when you're preparing for your exams. Try not to listen to people who say they're going to fail, who have that negative influence on you. Try and surround yourself with more positive people. You know, seek out a group of friends that you know you work well together, that you can actually feel good about the study that you're doing. But what about keeping calm during the exam? Well, it's linked really, because keeping calm during the exam is about being ready for the exam. Now, my wife, and I hope she won't mind me saying this, but my wife has anxiety dreams, and her anxiety dreams are that she turns up at school for an exam that she didn't know was happening that day and she hasn't been able to revise for. So my biggest tip for being calm in the exam is knowing you've done the work, knowing you've put in those hours and you've done the revision and you're ready to go. You will be much calmer if you put in the time and you know that you're in a position to do this exam. My anxiety dream, just to share with you, is a class that won't be quiet. Of course it is. Yeah, it really is. It really is. I think everyone's got these kind of one anxiety type dreams that they have, and it's different for everyone else. Why not put it in the comments below? I don't know. Get a good night's sleep before the exam. It's hugely important. And if it's a morning exam, get a good breakfast. If it's an afternoon, get a good lunch. Get a nice calm meal. Now remember this is one of my favourite Denzel Washington quotes, okay? It's from Man on Fire, and he's training a little girl to swim, and she says, I'm not tough enough to beat this girl at this swimming gala. And he says, there's no such thing as tough, there's only trained or untrained. And so that really struck a chord with me, that really hit a kind of note with me that actually that's true. There's no such thing as smart, there's no such thing as just clever, naturally gifted and able to do these exams. What there is trained or untrained. So when you get into those exams, you're going to fall into one of those two categories. You've trained yourself to do it, or you're not ready to do it, you're not trained. And if you are trained, then you shouldn't feel anxious about the exam. You go in there and you just do it methodologically. You do it methodically, you just get in, you tackle those questions step by step. And I've got a really good little video about how to tackle GCSE and A-level physics questions, both written ones and calculation ones. And you should just try and think step by step, like a little method. If you've practiced enough, you'll have done them before. It's just a matter of doing the same skills again. Don't listen to people saying in the queue for the exam, oh, I'm going to fail this, oh, I'm past even caring. They do care, but they're just already trying to line up the excuses. It's a natural thing that we all kind of do when we're finding things hard. But you can do this for yourself. You have prepared, you're ready, get in there, focus and do your best. The most useful type of revision is usually exam practice, and I've got A-level exam practice videos here and GCSE exam practice videos here as well. And when you watch them, don't just watch it and let it be a passive thing. Stop it occasionally, have a go yourself, listen to my explanation rather than just watching me do things and make out that everything's easy and then you get to them and you struggle to do them yourself. So another tip is to forget questions you didn't know. If you really, you've struggled with it, you've tried your best and you can't get the answer, you just need to forget that question. Maybe come back to it at the end, right? Maybe put down any ideas you've got, don't leave it blank, but put down any ideas you've got and then just move on and don't think about it anymore for the rest of the exam. If you get time at the end, then you can come back to it, but you put down your best guess and you move on and you forget it. And if you spend the rest of the exam worrying about that, then you're not going to do well on those other questions. Even if it's one of the earlier ones that just stumped you, just for some reason you can't figure out the answer. You think you should be able to do it, and that kind of stresses you out. But you just need to leave it, you just need to forget it. And actually that was a tip that my driving instructor gave me. He said, actually, if you think you've made a mistake, forget it. Because if you spend the rest of your driving test thinking about that mistake, you'll make more mistakes. If you are the type of person that's anxious and gets those kind of panic moments, then expect it in the exam and have coping strategies ready. Count to 10, shut your eyes, anything that works for you. Be prepared to feel that way. Expect it, and when it comes, deal with it. Take your time, remind yourself that you're ready, remind yourself you're prepared, and then go ahead and do this. You can't do anything about not knowing that question, okay, but you can get the rest of the marks. And there will be questions that stump the majority of people. There will be questions that we write as examiners that they are a bit too hard, and actually when we make the grades we kind of moderate them to mean that we are giving the credit for the good physics that's happened, and we're not skewing everyone's grade because that question was just actually way too hard, not a very good question at all. When you come out of the exam hall, don't dissect the exam you've just done. Try not to even talk about it with your friends. Think on the next exam. You've done that exam now. There is nothing else you can do about that one. And lastly, think about your mock exam periods. Think about all those past papers that you do in lessons and try not to let them be a stress. Try to think really positively about going through that process. We put you all in that situation, those mock exam situations, and we take you down to the hall and we put you down in that exam chair to try and make the real thing be less of a stress. So see your mock exams at school, see them as being positive experiences that are training you to do better in the real things, training you to be less anxious in the real things. I really hope that helps. Anxiety is something that everybody's going to get at some point in their life, and everyone, certainly when you're coming towards your exams and you're thinking these are big deals that are going to determine your next set of choices that you've got, then we understand that. Talk to us, follow my tips, and study always pays off. I'm Kit, and it's been Gorilla Physics. Thanks for watching.